All right. Good morning, everybody. We are joined today by Clint Singleton. He is the current facility and projects manager at PayPal Park, which is home to the San Jose Earthquakes in Major League Soccer. Clint began his career in minor league baseball and eventually made his way to stadium operations internship at Bowling Green University. He then transitioned over to Major League Soccer, working with DC United as a stadium manager there. With the United, he kind of went back and forth between the MLS team as well as the USL, the minor league team over there, overseeing maintenance operations, food and beverage at the USL team. And they did a lot of preventative maintenance work, conversion crew over at Audi Stadium with DC United. More recently, he made his way over to the West Coast, joining the San Jose Earthquakes as a manager, facilities and projects at PayPal Park. Currently, what he does is similar work is to a DC United, but also executing facility improvements, so MLS performance camera projects, as well as some IT projects that he'll touch on. So everybody, let's welcome Clint. Clint, thanks for being here.
No problem. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, for sure. I guess just to get started, how did you start working in sports?
Honestly, I was in college and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a teacher. And then I was playing football in college, tore my ACL, decided I needed to focus on school, but I needed to transfer because my scholarship wasn't going to stay because of my injury. So, and my coaches got fired. So I ended up going to U of L and then learning about a sports administration program. And I didn't even know you could work in sports, honestly, until I saw that. So I ended up doing like 2 years of that and then realizing that I wanted to do facility management about my junior year. Mainly because of my personality type. It's one of those jobs where you kind of can like move on your own and get things done. It's not I like cold calling. That's something I just wouldn't enjoy doing, So it was one of those things where I was like, I'm already kind of handy, kind of always had to work on my car or do anything of that nature. So it was kind of no brainer for me to get into facility management.
Okay, awesome. And then kind of, you want to tell us a little more about your story to how you started doing that work at Louisville or Louisville. You would know how to better pronounce it than I would.
Yeah, Louisville. Some people say Louisville. I think I think we all say Louisville if you're from there.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of starting your story about Louisville and then making your way to where you are now.
Man, it's kind of a long. So I started. I know you said Bowling Green University, but I did Bowling Green Hot Rods. That's a minor league baseball team.
Okay.
Yeah, so I ended up not knowing about our program. We had to do 400 hours of internship hours to graduate, and it was my last semester of school. So my advisor said that, hey, you can either do all 400 this semester and graduate this semester, or do 200 and then 200 again and graduate the next semester. And I was ready to graduate, so I was going to do anything that I needed to do to finish this degree and get started and working. Mainly because I was bartending all through college, and I knew that's not something I wanted to continue to do my whole life. So I pretty much put my foot down and grinded. Like, it didn't matter like what the situation I was going to be put in. So I ended up I had an internship in Louisville and an internship in Bowling Green.
What did you do?
I would drive to, what do you say?
What was your internship in?
Corey Taylor Sports Performance is one of my family friends. He owns a like sports facility for like NFL players go there, pro golfers, college athletes. They all go there and like do sports performance training.
Oh, nice.
So I did some athletic training as well as maintain his facility.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and he just made me the manager. He knew nothing about like like operating like the facility as far as like preventive maintenance. I got like a whole preventive maintenance system for him. I taught him like how to use it for when I left, and he tried to keep me, but I wasn't listening.
Nice.
I knew I wanted to work like at actual stadiums, so that's what I was aiming for. So during that semester, it was probably one of the hardest like semesters of my life, really like moments of my life, honestly, because I would drive. Well, it was close from home, so I would go to Louisville. I would do that one, and then I would drive to Bowling Green, and I would have like 3 days where I would have to be there, and I would sleep in my car right in front of the stadium, and I would go there those 3 days and then drive back to Louisville to go home. And I did that for like from January to about May until I found an apartment out in Bowling Green. Because I was able to finish my internship in Louisville and then kind of focus on the one in Bowling Green.
Yeah.
So that was a hard time, but I'm glad I figured it out. So whenever I was door dashing, I'd find some ways to get a hotel room sometimes. But that was my main grind as far as getting that done in the internship. I just knew I needed that experience. When you get that minor league baseball internship experience, it really helps your resume.
Yeah, I'd say, like we discussed earlier, like my first internship was in minor league baseball, and we're doing everything from pulling tarp, you're dancing on the dugout, you're throwing t-shirt, you're getting thrown the mascot costume, and you're doing everything. Now I'd say that's what a lot of employers like to see, is you doing everything.
Yeah.
So all right, so then from minor league baseball, you graduated, and then you made your way out to the Capitol.
Yeah, so I once the internship was over, you're done working there. While I was doing that, and I finally got a place in Bowling Green to finish out the internship, I was managing a bar called Hilligan's that was like really close to the stadium to just pay my bills and stuff. And I started looking for jobs, man. I didn't care where it was. Like I just wanted the opportunity to get a full-time job in sports. And I ended up getting 3 job opportunities. And I had to pick from them. I was like so surprised by I applied. I was applying every day. I was probably applying like 60 jobs per day if possible. Like some days, some days I was just running out. There was like no jobs to apply for anymore, man. But I was just applying every night, and 3 of them hit. I had one offer to work for the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. It's a minor league baseball team in Appleton, Wisconsin. They flew me out. Great stadium. And then there was a team in New Jersey. I forget their name, but it was also a minor league baseball team. And then Loudon in DC as well. Those are the 3 offers. And I ultimately went with DC United, mainly because of the pay. And my auntie lived pretty close to the area. So I had someone I knew.
Nice.
So that's what led me to go to DC.
Okay. And then just what did you do? I know I briefly explained, but what are some of the things that you did day to day with DC United?
So when I first got there, my main focus was Loudon. So I got to Segra Field is what it's called. I don't know if you've ever been there before.
I have not.
So
I've been to. It says in Leesburg.
Yeah, it's in Leesburg, Virginia.
Yeah, I have a friend who's in Leesburg, and I went to a wedding there, but
Okay. Yeah, so that's a pretty wealthy area as well. I think they're gonna do well as far as building up their fan support and stuff. But it's a unique stadium, man. So the bathrooms, the locker rooms are all shipping containers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you go in and it just looks like a regular bathroom, man. They're pretty nice. But yeah, they're all powered electricity. And then there's mini splits for the HVAC to like heat and cool. But when I got there, it was snowing. So
that never happens there too.
Yeah. So and I reported directly to the vice president of DC United. His name's Scott McGuire. And he would call. All we did was call all the time because I was his eyes out there, so he didn't have to come out there.
Perks of being the VP.
Perks
of being the VP.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, man, I would be out there, man. It was pretty much just preventative maintenance for the most part. He was like, "Hey, I need you to make sure those. It's an open. The fences are about 6 foot tall. Kids can just climb over them, man. So the container doors get opened, and then if you don't, it's a water system. So if you don't close them, the pipes can freeze. Yep. So my job was to go there and make sure they were closed. Mini splits were cranked all the way up. Little things like that to make sure the water didn't freeze because the fire suppression system was wet. And then because I got there right after the COVID year, so there was a bunch of like things that just needed to be done, man. There's scrim that goes around the stadium that like covers like pretty much the insides of the bleachers. Torn down. I still have pictures of that. I had to figure out a way to get that back up because it's very expensive to put it up. Get a company to do it. It was a lot of just preventive maintenance things to help like start the season. Food and beverage. There was a cooler where they keep the beer and the Coke and water and stuff like that. All a year old. I had to take everything out, throw it away. and then start reordering new stuff for the start of the season, shoveling snow. It was a lot of like just grunt work to get the stadium, beautification of the stadium.
Yeah, that's very, very reminiscent of minor league athletics.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it shows that minor leagues are similar no matter what the sport is. You're kind of, did you have a crew with you, or you're just a one-man
It
shop?
was just me.
Oh, wow.
Just me. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I learned a lot though.
Yeah, you do. You do. The more work you do, the more you're going to learn. So you said you went back and forth between USL team as well as DC United. What did you do more up in DC with the MLS squad?
More so of like leading the conversion crew and getting things done, and also the engineers, like things that were out of my range of getting fixed. The engineers pretty much specialized in. I would pretty much dedicate those specific engineers to fix those problems. And any other task that the VP would hand down to me, small or large. But typically it was just making sure that we got things fixed and the stadium was being beautified the best way possible at the lowest cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's Audi Field, right?
Yes.
And it's newer, correct?
It's I feel like it's around maybe 6 or 7 years old, maybe.
Still young.
Yeah, that's a young stadium. Yeah.
Yeah. What's it like to work? And we can talk about when we get to your experience with the Earthquakes, because that's also a pretty new stadium. What's it like to work at a newer stadium?
Honestly, it is nice. Loudon Stadium is also newer. They had just built it in 2019. I feel like it's newer than the other stadiums I worked at, other than the Hot Rods. But things still break. Things still need to be maintained. I don't think that either stadium, because of like how new it was, had less to do. There was always something, man, and I think the difference between the East Coast and the West Coast as far as really preventive maintenance because of weather. I don't have to deal with the same things I had to deal with over in DC as far as weather in California, because we did a lot of like winter preparation at Audi Field to prepare the pipes. Maybe we either turn them off, or the toilets, we had to put antifreeze in them, cover them up, things of that nature to make sure that like our equipment was preserved well. This is things that I don't have to worry about here.
Oh yeah, like even just living, like you have to, if you leave the house, you got to make sure that the heat's on or you got some water running so the pipes don't freeze.
Yeah.
It's totally different. Stuff us Californians don't think about at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah. All right. So then you did a year with DC United and in the USL team. Then you came over to San Jose. What was that transition like?
I always wanted to come back to California because I was born here. I was born in San Diego, but I left like probably like 3 years old and never came back because my parents were Marines. They like got out really early, but I moved around a lot on the East Coast after we left here. So I always told myself I want to come back to California and see what it's like. The transition, honestly, was better than any of the other transitions I had, like with the Bowling Green. They gave me some relocation assistance to come out here, so I just kind of stayed in the Airbnb until I found a place to live. Saved up for a car because I wasn't going to drive I had that car I had on the East Coast going through college. It took me from my senior year of high school all through college. It was done. It was already coming to the end of his life. Little 2011 Honda Civic.
Hey, as long as you got the miles out of it, you can.
Yeah. It got to about 330. It was about time to let it go. So I didn't bring it with me. I saved up, got a new car. The transition definitely was probably my best transition in sports. That's mainly because of the hierarchy, the pay that I'm able to get now after doing all that work in the past. So it definitely helped out.
For sure. And what are some of the things you do day to day at PayPal Park?
So I kind of try to have a routine. However, whenever you come in and people see you there, it's like, hey, Clint, it's constantly asking for something, it'd be little stuff like today I came in and one of our guest experience managers, Kelly, she was like, we need an extra chair. We have some Quakes U rookies coming in. So walk around the stadium. Where do I remember seeing another extra chair? And then just grabbing that, like little things like that will happen when you walk in. But I try to come in before I even go to the front office, which is why like sometimes it looks like I'm walking in late to work with my backpack. But before I even go in there and someone asks me to do anything, I take a lap around the stadium, man. Go around the bottom, go around the top, walk the ball a little bit, see if I can see anything that's out of the ordinary, needs to be fixed, or hasn't been fixed and should have been fixed. Things of that nature, make my work orders for the day that I notice. Hopefully there isn't anything needs to be cleaned up for janitorial service. You know, we have a bunch of birds here. They like to poop everywhere. So got to point certain things out. John Fisher, our owner, he likes a certain spot, and it's like the epicenter for birds to poop at. So like we're constantly trying to make sure that's clean before he walks in and things like that. So I'm always just looking for little stuff like that. It's just doing your rounds and making sure that everything looks right for the fans when they get here.
Okay.
And then after that, man, just check my email, see what projects I have going on. Like we just got a new trash compactor. We didn't have a trash compactor at all. We just had trash cans. I don't know how they made it this long without a trash compactor, but just got one in. So before I left to Philadelphia, I helped get that installed. And I had the keys for it, and they were like waiting on me to get back for the keys. So it's day to day. I try to complete as many work orders as possible, but also we're working on a preventive maintenance system right now. We don't have one. We just have a work order system. So I just worked out a contract with a software called Maintenance Care. Still working on getting some final details finalized. My boss is pretty stickler about certain things, so we're kind of waiting on him to sign that, but I'm gonna get all the assets, HVAC equipment, all things of that nature, get everything into the system and start forecasting for our budget for next year.
Awesome.
And it just the day is different. A lot of the time there's always something different. I don't have to sit at my desk all day. I get to walk around. It's like the best part for me. I'm not really a sit at my desk 9 to 5 guy. So
yeah, I appreciate you taking a seat to speak to us.
Yeah, yeah, it's different. That's why I like it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the more entertaining parts of this industry is not everything's the same. It's not always 9 to 5, and you have to sit at a desk the whole day. That's why I love it.
Exactly.
That's why a lot of us stay in it. And it's always fun, like people come to your office, try and find you, and you're not there. You're always somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on, you keep mentioning preventative maintenance. How important is that in this line of work?
It's very important, actually. I'd put it top 3, honestly. If you want to do it right, man, because in the long run it'll save the company money and it makes you look better, obviously. You know, if something if it's not like anything that gets fixed and it's not tracked, you're not going to know when it was fixed. And if something happens again sooner than it should, then, you know what I'm saying, that's something that needs to be written down and taken note of, you know. So if we got something fixed last year and the shelf life of it is 10 years, that needs to be documented. And then we can know, like, hey, we bought this one already. Why do we need to get another one? Then we can reach out to that supplier and figure out what's going on. You know, maybe we won't have to pay for it because we just recently got it fixed and there's a warranty. Let me write down warranties, put that into the system, what doesn't have a warranty, things of that nature. I feel like if you can forecast those things, you always save money in the long run.
What are some of the things you do for preventative maintenance? Like, I know you said documenting, but are you walking around in addition to like your daily walks around the stadium? Are you doing some more in-depth walks on a regular basis? What are some of the methods that you have to make sure that you catch something early before it gets to become a bigger problem?
I try to use the data we already have. There is some data on a spreadsheet, but there's no software. I try to also like inform myself. So if something like our heating system or our water heating system, I try to look at the brand, look up the shelf life, and just take note of things like that. Like how long do the stadium seats last as far as the sitting goes? We have games, 17-game home games. Depending on what kind of crowd you have, like what's the durability of those seats? You know, we had some international games where they just broke off our seats, you know, because they would just stand on them like the seat pan, you know, and just things like if we get a new seats installed, like what is the durability of those compared to what we have? And just inform, like arming yourself with knowledge of what you need and what like the durability of it is, because everything wears in the stadium. And you just want to know how long it takes for that thing to wear so you can forecast when you need to replace it.
Yeah, and especially with the sun and the recent heat, that just expedites everything's lifespan.
Yeah, exactly. We have some stone out here. I think it's called terrazzo. Not really sure of the stand of the stone name, but the sun beats down on it heavily, so it starts to fade. So we have to get that polished every now and then. But it's only happening to this area, which it gets hit by the sun the most. That's just one of those things, like what causes the issues and how do you fix that problem or take it into account.
Yeah, for sure. So you've worked in both, mainly professional, but you've worked at the highest level, but also in the minor league level. What are some of the differences and similarities between the two?
I'll go differences first. I will say that there is more of a team atmosphere in the upper levels. You have more coworkers, more people, more hands to help you out. It's a lot of solo missions in the in the minor leagues. Yeah, so it's nice to actually have a team. If I need things done, I have engineers I can come to. I'm like, hey man, can you do this? I've learned what they're good, which each one's good at, so I can assign each one based on their abilities. And I think that's the biggest difference from minor league and the pros, man. Just having that support system. The similarities is that all stadiums need maintenance, man. that's the main thing. All stadiums need maintenance. They all need cleaning services. They all need to repair in some shape, form, or fashion, man. So that's the biggest similarity to me.
Then what's your role during events, during game days, concerts, other outside events? What do you do during those?
So mainly our games, we'll do internal. If it's internal, it depends on what they need, right? So if one of our marketing teams is hosting an event, they'll be like, hey, we need power here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll source power and make sure they can power whatever they need to in that area. Or any facility needs, like, hey, we're going to need chairs and tables. Most times our events crew will handle that, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. I had to worry about that in the minor leagues. Anything that had to do with tables, chairs, anything like that. Events and operations in minor leagues, same thing.
Same
you know,
thing.
it separates. That's another thing. It separates the higher up you go. So that's a good thing. But mainly during the events, that's another reason why I like it. It becomes pretty chill. Like you do have issues, or maybe like something breaks, or you need to replace it, or you need to add power here, or you need to this refrigerator is not working. Can you replace it? Things that is little small things during the events for the most part. But yeah, when the event starts, it's very chill. We kind of just wait on the walkie-talkie and kind of just sit there and wait for anything that needs to be fixed. Before the event, we do a lot of setup for like the mags, security mags, bag check trailer, things of that nature. Most of our work is done before the event starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what's the seating capacity at PayPal Park? Really closer to
18,000.
When that place is full, how much busier are you compared to when it's, say, maybe 7,000 to 10,000?
That really isn't a factor most times. It really depends on the type of fans in the stadium.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had a international game. I believe it was Chivas versus Panama. I was busy that entire game. The entire game. It was about, I think about 14,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little bit decent to walk around. Like you weren't like shoulder to shoulder with everyone. It was very busy. But man, like there was something going wrong all the time, you know, like whether the chairs were breaking or they were throwing them, or the TIFO stand needed to be refixed because they were bumping into it, or, you know, it was just always the radio was going off constantly. And then we've had our home opener. It sold out over 18,000, and I probably got 2 calls, you know, so it really depends on the fan base that comes to your stadium.
Sure. Do you guys host concerts at PayPal Park?
I think they're trying to get into that.
Mhm.
The closest thing that we probably will have to that is something soon. I believe actually I may not even be at liberty to speak about it.
Okay. That's fine.
You
That's,
know?
yeah, as I feel like it's a big enough, but not big enough for.
Yeah, it's there's a halftime performance of like a very, very popular celebrity that's coming here. That's probably the closest that we have to a concert coming up soon.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think there's been a concert here yet.
Okay. We'll have to touch base when the concerts start flowing in during the off
Okay.
season. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll start coming eventually. I know our outside events people are working on it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's like we talk about like income and revenue from a facility management standpoint, like that's a huge revenue stream.
It is.
I mean, and are you guys, do you have tenants like different teams that come play at PayPal Park as well?
I believe that a NWSL team is currently trying to make our stadium home.
Okay.
I am not at liberty to discuss the name, but I know that they are trying. They're in contracts and talks right now to try and do that. So we're working on creating a space for them in the stadium.
That's awesome. So I know majority of your work is in soccer. What what are your thoughts on working other sports? Do you want to stick with soccer? Do you want to try and experience football? I know you're a football player growing up. What are your thoughts on that? I know you're still young in your career and still making a name for yourself, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are in working other sports in the industry.
Yeah, it's nice that you say I'm young in my career. I know I feel like I could have I didn't take college that seriously in the beginning. So I was making decent money bartending, man. So
Mhm.
I kind of was like, oh, I can do this, you know. And then as I started to get older, I was like, because I went back to college. Like once I tore my ACL, I took like about a 2 or 3 year break. And
Okay.
then I went back to college
Yeah.
and decided I needed to finish.
Young in your athletic facility management career. How about
Yeah, yeah, I am young in that. Yeah.
that?
I mean, 27 is not bad, but
Yeah,
yeah, man.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. I honestly, I kind of just like take the opportunities given to me. I'm getting to the point now where like I'm engaged and where she's already talking about starting a family and stuff, man. So, you know, I'm more so concerned with the opportunities as far as growth and the ability to provide for my family in the future. So if that leads me to a football team or NBA team or NHL team, like I honestly don't care. I'm just a sport lover in general. I've learned to love soccer more as I've worked in soccer because I was not around soccer at all growing up.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it would be great to work for an NFL team.
Mhm.
You know, so maybe that will be in the future. But any sport will fine for me. I probably won't go back to baseball though.
It takes a special person to work in baseball.
Yeah, I've done it, but it would have to be like my last option for sure.
Yeah, I think everyone should do it simply to see the grind, but
Yeah,
it is not for everybody.
it's a great way to start for sure.
Great way to start. How so you mentioned like the Bay Area is full of professional teams, colleges. What's your interaction like with like the Sharks or the Niners, who are in the same general vicinity as you, or even maybe San Jose State or Santa Clara?
On the facility side, there's not much crossing.
Mhm.
I know that our marketing team and our grassroots team, Kang, they do a lot of that as far as interacting with the other professional sports teams. I don't really have to see much of that side.
Okay. Yeah. But do you guys talk at all to like pitch ideas or pick each other's brains, or not too much?
No, not too much. I know that whenever we do like cross as far as like us like using the Levi Stadium or for that game against LA, I was able to pick their brain and talk to them more. Camilla Hammer, she's the senior manager over there at the 49ers Stadium. She was a great resource when I was there. But it doesn't really cross until we have to, work together.
For sure. For sure. Um, yes, what would you say are some of your long-term goals working in this industry?
Um, Honestly, man, I kind of feel uh oh, what's the word, man? I'm trying to use the word without cursing. like a jerk most times, man, because I know what I'm capable of. I know what I'm willing to do. And I've been in like some really crappy situations in my life, man, where I thought I wasn't even going to make it to this point in my life. So I'm to me, I could die any day. So I'm not going to waste my time at a job for and I wouldn't even want to call it a waste, but be at a job for 3-4 years trying to get promoted to one position when other jobs are willing to give me that opportunity now. So I always keep my options open. And I eventually want to become a vice president of stadium operations for a job, whether that minor league or pro or upper league. That's just my goal, and that's what I'm going to continue to try and do. And I will try to take the fastest route. Like I'm not going to sit there and just like, oh, I think I feel like I'm not the only one in our generation that does that. I feel like like millennials and is it Gen Z after us?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, like we hop around a lot, trying to get to where we want to go. And I know like my dad, man, he stayed the same job 20 years, but he never attempted to move up. He was just comfortable where he was at, so it's one of those things, man, where I want to get to that goal, and I will continuously look for the opportunity that's going to best get me there.
Yeah, and I think that's something it's pretty unique to the sports industry is a lot of times you have to move around to move up. I know that's been me in my career, starting part-time working at Drexel and then full-time at UC Davis and then to Wagner and then back here, Stanford, where I currently am. It's a lot of moving. I mean, you put a lot of miles on your car, I put a lot of miles on mine as well. We got to do that. And I talk to people and they say, oh, wow, people all over the country. It's when you live all over the country, you meet folks all the time.
Exactly.
It's that, yeah, I think a lot of people in different industries don't realize how much moving around we do to become successful in this industry. And there are very few people who stayed in the same organization and worked all their way up. So that's kind of unique. And I'm glad you touched on that you're willing to move. And I mean, you have moved from the I guess would Kentucky be considered the Midwest still?
I wouldn't consider it the Midwest, but it's definitely in the middle. But Kentucky people like to be called the South. But honestly, it's very middle. If we're talking like geography,
Yeah. So you've moved all over. People in DC will probably still call themselves the South as well.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. I guess what's some advice that you have for students who are looking to make their way into the industry?
I will start with freshmen and sophomores. I say pick 3 things that you want to do in the sports industry that, as far as interest level, they interest you the most, and find an internship for all 3. And I know most times internships want to hire juniors and seniors, but there are internships out there that will just take you because you're a college student. I'd look for those and try to get done with those 3 by your junior year so you know which one that you want to do. Maybe you have to wait till your senior to figure it out, but get those options out of the way. Try those internships out. And also, once you graduate, after you try those 3 internships, those are just great resume builders in general. You'll be ready to get a full-time job once you graduate if you have 3 internship experiences on your resume. That's probably the main thing that I would warn students about is if you just go and you graduate and you don't get involved in some way, build your resume before you graduate, it's going to be hard to enter the workforce once you get done.
Yeah, get as much work experience as you can, and in addition to seeing what you want to do, you get to see what you don't want to do.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Great advice, Clint. Thank you very much for taking the time. Really do appreciate it. It's good talking to you. Good to meet you as well. And thank you very much again for speaking to the class.
No problem. Thank you for having me, man.
Yep. Thank you.